Jupiter moved into Taurus from Aries to Taurus to stay there for 1 year until May 2024. So Jupiter usually stays in one sign for about a year. So the shift is significant. Now we are in a new territory that Jupiter is blessing. When a Jupiter moves into a sign, we enjoy the goodness of that sign. Now, you might not be feeling it yet, and that is because Jupiter made its entry with a highly dramatic T-square, which is very challenging angles with Mars and Pluto. But soon, we will start to feel what Jupiter in Taurus is about, still slowly and gradually, because Taurus is a slow sign, is an earth fixed, steady, slow, stable sign. So let's dive in. Now, Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. It expands the domain it visits. It grows, it expands, it protects. This is a benevolent force in our lives. It blesses, yet it also exaggerates the themes of the sign. And this is the reason we want to be careful with Jupiter. We want to have a good relationship, a healthy relationship with the themes of the sign, so we don't have to deal with the negative excesses that Jupiter can bring. And in this video, I want to expand on this. But first, let's understand the meaning of this transit. So the shift is happening from a cardinal fire sign, which is Aries, to fixed earth sign Taurus. From Aries to Taurus, cardinal fire to fixed earth. Now, Aries, where Jupiter was for the last year, is the first sign. This is the birthplace of the zodiac. This is the start, the initiation force. This is the beginning of the spring. And at the beginning of the spring, this is when the things are starting to bloom. Life is pushing forward. Life is fighting to birth itself, to individuate. So we find in Aries urgency. There is urgency here. There is an immense self-focus. So when Jupiter was in Aries, the energy was directed towards this process, individuation, self-assertion, initiation. Jupiter in Aries is active, creative, fast, impulsive, competitive, self-assertive, passionate, impatient, aggressive, selfish. In Taurus, we calm down. We're resting. We arrive to the garden. The flowers have already bloomed. We're no longer conquering new territories. With Jupiter in Taurus expanding the domain, we pull away from the impatient, competitive, fiery world of war of Aries, and we move from the areas in our life that we tried to win, where we have attempted to assert our identity, to consolidation, slowing down. There is no longer urgency in Taurus. We are, in fact, with Jupiter in Taurus, asked to slow down in order to materialize what we initiated and started in Aries, or even what we fought for. Taurus is earth, and earth is about materializing. So this is the first message of Jupiter in Taurus, slowing down. This is the middle of the season. The middle of the season is about continuity. The work here is to ground what we have initiated, this initiative force of Aries, the idea, the inspiration, the new project, the new adventure, the new relationship, the new way of being that we started. We want to turn this thing we started in Aries into tangible resources. And this process requires time, requires slowing down. So for the next year, we are called to make things more realistic. You had an idea in Aries, and now it's time to see it coming into fruition, into the real world. But is it realistic enough? Is it grounded enough? This is the question. Though in Taurus, it's not only about materializing, but about enjoying truly. It's very simple in Taurus. Taurus is a simple sign. It's a fixed earth sign, And all fixed sign fall in the middle of the season. And in the middle, we are consolidating, savoring, deepening. We're not going anywhere. We're here. We have arrived. And fixed signs, they come after the cardinal, the initiating force, and before the mutable, the adaptable, changing force. In the middle, we are savoring the experience. In Taurus, an earth sign, we are savoring the bodily, earthly, physical experience. Yet, in order to be able to savor the bodily, earthly experience, we need to ensure that we are feeling secure and safe in our bodies. Meaning, we must provide for our bodily needs by materializing our inner resources, our inner talents. And to materialize our talent, we must cultivate deep self-worth, self-confidence, self-value, so as to, at the end, savor the earthly experience, the earthly pleasures. Therefore, Taurus is about reclaiming our self-value, our talent, unlocking our talent, our inner resources, providing safety and security to the body, to savor the pleasure of the earth, in that order. And this is a sign that is ruled by Venus, so it's about harmony, beauty, peace, pleasure, creativity, and love. In Taurus, it's truly about reconnecting to our natural talent. This is the key, to connect to your natural talent, meaning truly to your natural rhythm, your natural flow, your natural pace through which your natural talent can be invoked. So it's simple. The more you simplify here, the more you find it. The more you simplify in Taurus, the more you find it. Finding your natural pace, rhythm, flow provides security and simplicity. Meaning, during this year, focus your energy on that which feels good and safe. Remember, after the battle in Aries, we come back home. We come back home victorious. We're no longer fighting. We're resting in Taurus after the battle in Aries to reap the reward, to enjoy what we fought for. We want to relish the meal we hunted, to rest in the space we so intensely defended and fought for. We do not hunt and go to battle just for the love of it, just for the thrill of it. No, but to ensure we survive and to take care of the body, and to enjoy our earthly experience. So the second message here is, do not ignore the animal within, its desires and its needs for safety, for comfort, for peace, and for pleasure. See beauty in the animal. Feel safe in it. It knows what it's doing. Trust it. It knows what it's doing and what it wants. This is your body is an intelligent mechanism. Pleasures, the pleasures of life are desirable and valuable because they ensure the survival of the body. Food is pleasurable because it sustains the body. A comfortable shelter is pleasurable because it ensures the survival. It is a survival necessity. And sex also is pleasurable as it ensures the continuity of the species. On the other hand, the discomfort in Taurus is a symptom that there is something we need to address to survive. Hunger, we eat. Cold, we warm up. Rain, we need a roof over our heads. So don't underestimate these pleasures and desires in Taurus. Trust that within your body lies an intelligence, all that is needed for you to be here in form to survive. These are the inner resources in Taurus. Once you become aware of what the body wants, attuned and trusting its innate intelligence to survive and thrive, you activate deeper inner resources. So you need to listen. Meaning, if the body needs to sit in nature for a few hours, if it's asking you to slow down, do that, and you will be surprised how much you will get out of that. How much you will find out in listening to the bodily needs. This is the biggest price of Jupiter here. to awaken inner resources by grounding your consciousness back into the body and trusting its natural rhythm. So what does the body want? What does it value? As I've been saying, it's simple in Taurus. It's not psychologically complex. That's a Scorpio. It is simple, but it's not shallow. It's very deep. So Jupiter in Taurus is a permission to relax into what feels natural and good for you. That which does not require much effort. To give yourself permission to immerse yourself in that which you enjoy and you value. Yet, the downside of this is when your values are mixed up. When you have placed value on that which is not essential. Also, when you narrow your sense of identity and worth to that which you possess, then it will never be enough. Hence, the excesses of a Jupiter in Taurus, always hungry. No material possession will satiate the hunger. So the third message is to refine and contemplate on your values. What do you value in this earthly experience and why? Not intellectual, emotional, spiritual values, no, but more tangibly. Meaning, what's your relationship to the material possession, to money, to security, to food, to your body? You possess a body. What's your relationship to it? Reflect on this and reflect on what you thought you need, what you thought you wanted, what you thought will provide security. Reassess those things and reflect on what does security, stability, comfort truly mean to you and how does it look like? What does richness mean to you? Reassess your priorities in these areas. Get very practical. Perhaps contemplate on how you can reinvent your earning. Maybe you need to trust in deeper hidden talents. And here you can rearrange how you earn and you rearrange your spending habits to align with your inner talents and with your value system. So we need to redefine our values and we need to rearrange our resources to align with these values. Which will lead us to the fourth message. The fourth message is to redefine your relationship to the earthly domain. So contemplate on this. Are you in identity with your hunger? Or do you use your hunger as a tool to fulfill your needs so the body can rest and your identity can flourish? Contemplate on what's your relationship to the natural world. Is your connection to the natural world part of your value system rather than just the virtual world or the mystical or the intellectual? What about the natural world? Are you attuned to the wisdom of the natural world? Are you in communion with it? There is honesty. There is deep honesty in the natural world. Are you listening? Are you allowing the time to listen? What's your relationship to your body? Are you nurtured enough, moving enough, breathing enough, resting enough? Does your nervous system feel safe enough? Are you paying respect to the kingdom of the flesh? Do you acknowledge that this transient body and physical world have given our consciousness an abode, in order to have this sensory experience where consciousness can reflect back on itself, experience itself to know itself? Can you renew your faith with the earthly descent? Now, this is simple but highly important to cultivate bodily awareness. It will be the deepest experience during this transit. In Taurus, we don't go deep in our complex psyche, but in the simplicity of our bodies, in the simplicity of presence. And this leads us to the next message of Jupiter. To be present with the actual, to be in communion with the present moment. I know this is going to sound like a spiritual cliche, but this is a very profound experience that can lead to an immense clarity and lucidity while Jupiter is transiting Taurus. Most of our despair, and suffering stem from the notion that something could have been different, or worry about something undesirable that might happen. But this notion remains in the domain of the mind. It is divorced from the actual. And this is where most of our suffering lies. Yet Jupiter right now, which is the higher mind truly, is an earth sign. Meaning our higher mind is calling us to direct our attention to the actual. There are no alternative probabilities here but this. This is the message of our higher mind, higher perspective Jupiter. Most our neuroses don't stem from the body and the spatial domain, but rather from the temporal domain of the mind, the past and the future thoughts. Only your thoughts can travel to past and future, to a time different than this. Yes, of course, now in the body there may be an alarm, stored from traumas. But even this, if you stay with the alarming sensation in the body, in the actual moment, without creating a story around it, this will inform the body that it is safe here. Now here I want to remind you that Uranus is still in Taurus. So we're going to be having a full year where Jupiter and Taurus are sharing the same sign. And Uranus is the force that can shake our nervous system in Taurus. And Jupiter is an opportunity to gradually free our body from the stored traumatic sensation. This is why I'm saying there is a depth in Taurus, but this depth and the learning experience is through the body, the physical. Now, Taurus and all earth signs are where we meet the actual, the real reality. And there is so much peace in this when we reconcile with the real reality. This is the true peace in Taurus. When we reconcile with the present, the actual, the tangible moment. When we sit present with all sensations that may arise in the body. So don't mistake your inner peace in Taurus to be dependent on what you possess, what you acquire, what you hoard, what you take in, or how much you take in. So here's our fifth lesson. Savor the material world, but without making an identity out of it. If you identify with that which you possess, then the more you possess, the hungrier you get. And the less you possess, the more stagnant you become. Jupiter in Taurus can engender excesses when we become an identity with the material world. Too much hunger, too much spending, too much hoarding, indulgence, even too much comfort can lead to stagnation. Yet we are reminded during this time that true inner peace doesn't come from acquiring infinite pleasure in the finite world, but from bringing our awareness back to the realm of the actual, to be grounded here now without making an identity out of it. To savor the moment as it represents itself, and then to let it go, to be able to let it go as our identity is not linked to it. Remember, Taurus exists in polarity to Scorpio. So this is our last point. Taurus is life. Scorpio is death. Taurus is taking in. Scorpio is eliminating. When you give yourself permission to savor and deepen in the bodily physical experience without hoarding, without being in identity with it, you can then let go when the time comes. As all that is of earth is transient. And this is what gives it its value. This is why we value it. Then here you are circulating life force, taking in and eliminating. Scorpio is about letting go, the death experience, the decluttering experience. And Taurus is about the simple living, about life. We let go in Scorpio to simplify in Taurus. We die in Scorpio to thrive in Taurus. And in this circulation of life force, we prosper. So let's recap. The messages of Jupiter and Taurus are this. Slow down, in order to materialize, to take your time, to continue what you have started and initiated in Aries. Slow down and reclaim your self-value, your inner talents, in order to be able to provide, to feel secure as you materialize your inner resources, so as to savor and enjoy the earthly, sensory, physical experience. And find your pace, find your own rhythm. And reflect on your values, on what you value in the earthly domain. Reflect on your relationship to finances, to richness, to security, to the body, to the natural world. Come back to it. And reflect on where you have become in identity with that which is transient. Are you in identity with your hunger? Be present with the actual. Be present with the alarm sensation in the body that may arise without making a story out of it, without making an identity out of it. Don't mistake your peace to be dependent on how much you possess, but rather on your ability to relish the earthly pleasure without being in identity with your possession. You must find that sweet spot where you are savoring life without hoarding, where you are letting go without renouncing life's pleasure.